If you or your partner keep having the same fight over and over about money, chores, sex, time, parenting, tone, this video might feel really uncomfortable. Because the real reason your fights never get resolved has very little to do with communication skills. Let me start by this. Most couples don't struggle because they don't know how to talk. They struggle because of what takes over inside them when the fights start. And until you understand that, no amount of I statements will fix it. Let me say this clearly. If your arguments feel circular, exhausting, or emotionally draining, that is what I call your dysfunctional dance that you do as a couple. And you are not failing at your relationship. You are stuck in a pattern, what I like to call your dance. And patterns are learned behaviors, which means they can be unlearned. Our brains can change and the patterns can change if there is enough motivation to change. And when I see couples, that come into my office, I have typically two types of couples. A couple where one partner is leaning out and they're just looking to check a box to say they did couples therapy and what they really want to do is separate or divorce. Or I have a couple that's motivated and want to do the work. And with the latter, I see substantial and amazing change that lasts a lifetime. Most couples are trying to solve emotional problems with logical tools, and they wonder why nothing changes. And a bigger problem in the therapy industry is that any therapist can call themselves a couples therapist. However, they're typically not trained. The difference between those therapists and what I do is I'll teach you skills to the parts of you that can and will use them, where they'll teach you skills to the parts of you that will never use them. If you are pursuing couples therapy, make sure they are trained in some type of couples therapy modality. If not, I promise you will go into every session arguing about the same arguments week after week after week. And a lot of them will tell you things like go on a date or buy your partner some flowers. It's like, how can I buy flowers for someone that I have resentment for and I don't even like? It's silly, right? So why communication advice falls short? Here's what most couples are told by untrained couples therapists. Well, just communicate better. Okay. Out of the 100% of my couples that I've seen over the last several years, the top one complaint or the top one thing they want to fix is they want to communicate better. So everybody says that. Another thing untrained couple therapists would say is stay calm, validate each other's feelings, use the right words. And to be honest, those things aren't wrong. They're just wildly insufficient, because when you're triggered, you're not operating from the thoughtful, mature part of your brain, which is the prefrontal cortex, what I call the wise adult. You're operating from something much older. We'll call that one the adaptive child, which comes from the back part of the brain. So what I do is it's called Relational Life Therapy. We talk about something called the adaptive child. That's the part of you that learned very, very early how to survive emotionally in relationships. And it can show up in a million different ways. For instance, people pleasing, getting triggered and shutting down, avoiding conflict, getting defensive, being controlling, exploding, going numb. And what all these things have in common, it's freeze, flight, fight, or fawn. Okay, and when we're triggered, that's our brain trying to keep ourselves safe. And when we get triggered, that's the adaptive child. And what I want to help you today with, your adaptive child isn't bad. It helped you once, but when it runs your relationship, your adult relationship, it blocks resolution and repair every time. What's really happening in your fights, when a fight starts, most couples think they're arguing about content. Oh, I want to be right about this. You want to be right about that. Or you didn't take the laundry out. Or you didn't do the laundry. You didn't do the dishes. Blah, blah, blah. But what's actually happening is that it's two adapted children are trying to protect themselves at the same time. One partner might move towards pushing, explaining, demanding connection, and the other might move away, shutting down, withdrawing, minimizing. And when you're doing that, you're no longer trying to understand each other. What's happening is you've triggered this younger version of yourself. And what it's like two adolescents arguing with each other. And what each one of them are trying to do, they're trying to win, protect, and be right, and not feel ashamed and not feel powerless. That's not a communication problem. That's a power and safety problem. And why does resolution feel so impossible at times? This is the interesting fact. Resolution requires vulnerability. But see, here's the problem. Your adopted child doesn't want vulnerability. Remember, in that version of ourselves, we don't care about anybody else. We don't care about repair. We don't care about our partner. We don't even care about our kids when we're triggered from the back part of our brain. All we want is safety and control. So even when one partner says the right thing, the other partner can't hear it. Not because they don't care, but because their nervous system is on high alert. They're just trying to survive. This is why couples say things like, we already talked about this, or nothing always changes, or you always do this and you never do that. They just don't get it. What they really mean is, I don't feel safe enough to soften. In my modality, RLT, the goal isn't perfect communication. It's never going to be perfect. The goal is learning how to show up as your wise adult a majority of the time. And in those instances where you don't show up and your adopted child gets triggered, the goal is for your partner to stay in their wise adult. Because if that happens, your partner stays in their wise adult, they win all day long. You get triggered into your adopted child, you lose, and the relationship is a wash. But what typically happens in relationships is one partner triggers the other partner. They're both in their adopted child. Partner A loses, partner B loses, the relationship loses, and if you have kids around, the kids lose too. So the wise adult, they're asking different questions. So we're able to control our emotions and take that 1 to 3 seconds it takes to kind of stop that whoosh. The wise adult prefrontal cortex can ask different questions. One of the questions would be, am I trying to win, be right, or do I want repair? Another question, what part of me feels threatened right now? Another question, what's my responsibility in this moment? I am trying to repair with the one I love. And this doesn't mean ignoring your pain. It means taking responsibility for how you bring it. Because real resolution only happens when at least one person steps out of the power struggle, like I just spoke about a few seconds ago. So here's a practical takeaway that you can try next time. When you get triggered, ask yourself this one question. Am I protecting myself or am I moving toward repair? And a lot of partners, when I first start seeing them, they're not asking themselves their question. They think arguing rights and wrongs is going to move them towards repair. And they're not going to get what they want by arguing about something or complaining about something they're not getting. So am I protecting myself or moving toward repair? If the answer is protection, that's not a failure, okay? That's your first sign of an awareness in you. It's like, oh, I didn't get triggered. And when I'm working with my couples, that's the first sign that I'm getting some shifting and some mindset changes when they first notice that trigger and that whoosh. And awareness is the best part. It's the beginning of change. And some couples get this after 4 or 5 sessions, and some couples it takes months. Some couples don't get it, and they end up getting divorced or separated. So to summarize this video, your fights don't stay unresolved because you're bad at communication. They stay unresolved because old survival strategies are running the show. And you were never taught how to communicate properly by your parents. But that's another video. And those can be worked with honesty, accountability, and compassion. If this resonated with you, please subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, something about your relationship, please let me know. This channel is about real relationship work that actually leads to lasting change. I'm Richie, and I'll see you in the next video.